Hello. Okay, I am gonna do my just kind of daily makeup that I do, which is probably gonna be a little bit more elaborate than anything that you're going to want to do before you go to work. But what I'm going to do is like specify what parts you're probably not gonna give a shit about. I think it'll all be interesting, but yeah, I'll tell you when it's like this is probably extraneous to your goals. Um, I'm also going to talk about products, and I think most of what you're gonna, I mean, basically, there's a huge range of products for makeup. In terms of like really cheap stuff you can get at the drugstore, to like going to the Mac store and buying like a $70 foundation. I think that more or less everything that I'm going to show you, you can get drugstore makeup for, but I'll talk a little bit about that as well because there are some things that you want to bear in mind. And what else? Yeah, so I'm just gonna do it. The first thing that I think is really important before putting on makeup is to exfoliate. I exfoliate every morning, and I just with like a washcloth in the shower. Only because makeup, if there's like any kind of like, I don't know, dry shit or residue or dead skin cells, like your makeup will pick it up, and um, it'll just, yeah, it just won't look like smooth. And it's like, that's just something that like there's no remedying it after you've started makeup. Like, you have to, anyway, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna moisturize now. So a friend of mine who's a guy who wants to wear makeup for covering up blemishes and evening his skin tone, who really doesn't want to look like he's wearing makeup at all, I recommend that he put on his foundation while he puts on his moisturizer. By which I mean, I just told him to take some of his liquid foundation. I only use liquid foundations. I do not use any other kind of foundation. Because I find that they just like give you the most realistic finish. And they're very easy to put on. So I just have him put some foundation in his palm, with like, I'd say 1 part foundation, 2 parts lotion, and then kind of rub them together and apply them that way. And what you're basically doing there is just applying a BB cream. And that's pretty low coverage, but it's going to be really natural looking. So if you have really good skin, that's kind of the way to do it. That's not the only way. It's also not the best way. He's a guy. He doesn't want to be like fiddling around with, foundation brushes and whatever. So it's not the best way to put on makeup, but it's very time effective. So, for teachers getting ready in the morning, that's probably a good thing. I've done it many, many times, and I felt totally fine about it. Now I'm pretty into a much more kind of like perfect, like doll finish, so I'm not going to do that today. But yeah, wow, this is going to take a long time. This is going to be a long video. I hope you're ready. Okay, so I have moisturized. I get really, really dry skin really badly. Underneath, like where my mustache like meets in the middle. So I just put just like a little extra, just like boop, of moisturizer, and I just let that sit there. I don't know how much good that actually does, but it tends not to be a problem when I do that. Anyway, okay. For foundation, so again, I only use liquid foundations. I just think that they just look much nicer. They make I think L'Oreal makes a really good one. It's not really, really good, but it definitely gets the job done. It's at drugstores. They make a huge range of shades as well, especially in the lighter tones, so that'll be good for you. And then what I tend to do is, this is a foundation brush. They look like that. I don't know why, but they do work really nicely. I'm not actually going to apply this all over my face with the foundation brush. I'm just going to put some on the brush, and I'm just going to kind of mark out where I want it to be eventually. Again, this is way more elaborate than you're probably going to want to do, but I think it's interesting, and it's how I do my makeup, and I'm just doing my makeup for the day, so bear with me. And I'm just kind of stippling it on everywhere where it's going to be. Because what I'm going to actually do to sort of finalize it is I'm going to go over it with a beauty blender, and that's just going to mash it right into my skin and make it look really, like, I don't know, natural and smooth and shit. And Again, this is not something that you're going to care about, but I use 2 shades. I'm going to go in with a lighter shade, and I'm going to apply this to all the parts of my face that I want to highlight, meaning that I want to kind of bring forward and make it look like they're kind of sticking out. That's more or less what highlighting does. It just kind of makes it look like that part of my face is bathed in light, you know? And it's just like a subtle, it's not that much lighter, and I'm sure that most people don't really notice, but I do! Okay, so you can see that, like, now I kind of have this, like, rough, just sort of stippled coverage all over my face. I'm going to use a beauty blender. This is a spongy thingy that you can just get at drugstores, and I'm just going to go, and I'm just going to kind of literally just mash it into my face. The goal being just like totally even coverage with no harsh lines or I don't know, boundaries. I like to go over my eyeballs too. Just in case I'm going to put eyeshadow on them later, that can be an important step, but also just if you have foundation on all of your face except for your eyes, it shows. But I don't like to actually put foundation on my eyes, because then you get this weird like ghost eye thing. But just like with the beauty blender that I've been using on my whole face, I just kind of go boop, 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 and that more or less does what I want. My God, this is gonna be long. Okay, and then if I didn't have a beard, I would blend down around my beard. But like one of the great things about having a beard is I don't have to give a shit about that. Sometimes if I'm feeling really fancy, I'll go in here with some foundation, but I'm not. Okay, so that's foundation. You can also use a foundation brush, and if you do that, and that's totally fine. I choose not to because I think it takes a little too long, and I just love the way that the Beauty Blender does it. But if you do, brush down on the lower half of your face, because that's the grain of the little hairs on your face. And if you brush down, they kind of smooth those down. If you brush all around, or if you brush up, or however people do it, those hairs kind of go astray. And it's not super noticeable, but it's just like one of those. It's like the difference between being like and being you know. Okay. So everything about foundation, I use a lot. You probably don't need that much. I use a lot. I like to look like a fucking mannequin. Really, every product that you're going to use, be very sparing with. You can always apply more, but removing is really annoying. And especially if you're like just kind of getting started with makeup, I think it's actually like really conscientiously try to use less than you think you're gonna need until you have like a really good idea of how much of each product you're gonna want. I still will like be like judging how much eyeshadow I need on a brush, and I'll completely fuck it up. Okay, so next is powder. Powder is totally optional. Basically, if you're it's not totally optional. I mean, all of this is totally optional. However, because I always do a contour and blush, I put powder on first, because if you try and like artfully put additional things on top of foundation, the foundation's going to still be kind of wet, and it's going to create this like muddy effect. So putting powder is going to set all that foundation. It's going to basically make a really nice canvas on which to put all the other things that I'm going to put on my face that you're probably not going to want to, although I will talk about that later. So powder, again, very small amounts, just boop, boop. I did that twice, so I'm going to blow off the excess. And then I'm going to brush down, just like I told you, with the foundation. I like to use a very thick, fluffy brush. If you can hear me doing a makeup tutorial, it's because Nora asked me to do it. I'm not just being a crazy person talking to myself. Just letting you know. Okay. Fluffy brush. Yeah. I think this is called a kabuki brush. I don't know. It's like half kabuki brush. You don't need to know, but just something like this. A lot of people use like a powder puff, and that's fine too. I just don't use that much powder, and this brush has just like served me well for many years. And what you really want at this point is to just kind of not be shiny. If you're not shiny, then you're probably good. Okay, I like to do my kind of face before I do any specific features, so I'm gonna move on to doing my contour. Contouring is hard, although it isn't as hard as I think. It isn't as hard as it can be easy to think it is. Basically, I don't know how much of this you already know about, so I'm just going to explain everything, and, I'm sorry if I'm assuming that you're more ignorant than you really are. The idea of contouring and highlighting is basically to just kind of emphasize the parts of your face that you want to emphasize. And that's usually cheekbones. Some people like to kind of emphasize there's emphasizing, and then there's kind of restructuring and creating illusions. But like basically you can use kind of tricks of light and shadow to make your face look either more like what it is or more like something it's not. However, whatever your kind of goal is. So I have these cheekbones that I do rather like, but I do want to emphasize a little bit more. This is actually an eyeshadow palette, but I love it. I got it at Sephora. You don't need anything that fancy, although I will talk, after I've done this, I will talk really quickly about why I use this expensive product rather than the cheap one that I was using until recently. So I'm going to use this one right here. It's darker. It's like considerably darker than my skin, but it isn't like a crazy espresso color. It's just a kind of, it's a nice grayish taupey brown, and that's really key to white people like us. Gray brown, not warm brown. I don't know if you can see, not something like that, because on our skin, on our like Northern European like pinkish skin, it comes off as being very orangey. So I'm going to use this one. Again, I'm going to just kind of do a double tap. I'm going to blow off a little bit of the excess. And then I'm going to kind of, there's this like special little like head tilt that I do where I'm basically trying to find the shadow. Where does a shadow form on my cheekbone? And you can see that right there, right around there, a little shadow forms. And I'm just going to basically trace that with this fucking brush. Some people like to brush this way. Right now in my life, I am brushing this way. And that changes. Like, I go through little phases of how I do stuff. I think that's probably pretty common. So, here we go. And the idea should be that now you can see that shadow that only really appears when I tilt is now there when my head isn't tilted anymore. And that's all you want. This is not, we're not trying to like draw like new structures on our face, you know. If you're a drag queen, which I once was, you know, that can be the point, is to really like be like, I want my cheekbone to be here now. Or like, I want my cheekbones to be fucking here, so I'm gonna draw one there. And that's totally cool. For going to school, obviously, you don't want that. You know, if you get the picture. And then I'm gonna go on the other side and do the same thing. It can be hard. You want to set yourself up so that you're sitting somewhere where you can rely on good lighting. Good lighting for all your purposes. So my little makeup station is set up in a place where I can easily acquire both shadows by just kind of turning my head. Okay, so you can see how there's just like this tiny, just like slight emphasis of that shadow. I am actually going to go in with a little bit more, just because I'm not a teacher, and I'm just a big fucking faggot fairy, and I just wanna be carved out. So you might kind of be thinking, like, I don't want to do contours, and that is totally fine. You are welcome to do anything that you want. The only thing is that, like, I think that generally when people think about, like, the makeup that they're probably going to do, as part of their morning routine, usually that's going to involve some kind of foundation, some kind of thing that is going to even out your skin tone, and that's part of what I do. When I can tell you that, like, when I see people who are only wearing foundation, especially if they're wearing a high coverage foundation, but like really anyone, if they're only wearing foundation and they don't have some other kind of pigment on their face to recreate the fact that human skin varies across the whole canvas. It changes color depending on what part of the face you're looking at or what part of the body you're looking at. And when you look at someone's face and their face is all just like the same color, even if you don't really think about like what their makeup is, it just kind of registers with me as like, like to me they look like dusty ghost people, dusty mannequins, and again, totally fine. I'm never gonna be like, that bitch, like, but if part of this idea is to look nice and fresh and healthy, which I think, is a big part of why I do makeup. Once you've kind of eliminated a lot of the sort of errant pigment that you want to cover up, it's important to go in and add in a little bit more color and life into your skin. So I like to do a contour not only to kind of be, fierce and cheekbonesy, but also I'm looking at myself in the thing, I'm not looking at the camera. Whatever. But also just to kind of add life back in. Speaking of, after you do a contour, which again is mainly about carving out the cheekbones, I'm going to add blush. And blush, I'm not going to use this like dark red, I'm not going to use this dark like burgundy. I'm going to use this very, very light, just kind of subtle little salmon color. And this is only for like adding life back, and it makes a huge, huge difference. It makes you look nicer and warmer and more human. And I really, truly think that as a teacher, that can be a really valuable thing, as opposed to looking like a dusty mannequin or like a fierce bitch. Like adding just a little bit of just like a little pink, lively, just like something, just makes you look like a welcoming person. That's what I think. And so the way I'm going to put this on is I'm going to make most people smile, but that's not the face that I like to make. Most people can just kind of go like that. I make my own weird face, but smiling pretty much does it. And where you want it to go, if the contour kind of went at sort of a diagonal, I like the blush to kind of start at the top of that diagonal and just angle it up and have it go more like this way. So it's going to be sitting on the apple of your cheeks. And you can see, I don't know how much you can see, but when I look in the mirror and I see that, I see someone who's like just slightly more approachable. I don't know. I'm actually going to go in with a little bit of this light pink. a little more life. Can you see that? Maybe you can't. I don't know how good the resolution is. Okay. So that is... Okay, yeah, now a highlight. I use a highlight. I love it. You almost certainly do. Oh, I should talk about products really quickly. Yeah, I bought this expensive eyeshadow palette. It's an eyeshadow palette. It's not a contour palette, and that's okay. I bought this because what I was using before was, where is it? What I was using before was this. It's a really nice taupey color, but it's for eyebrows, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. If it's a powder, it's a powder. It really doesn't. I don't know if I've never heard of anyone who thought that there was a problem using eyeshadows as contours or whatever. But it was a cheap product. It's by NYX, and it works fine for eyebrows. However, when you use cheap products, you can maybe see, maybe you can't. I don't know. But they start to, the caking agent kind of eventually starts to solidify. I think maybe when your facial oils are kind of introduced into the palette itself, they can start to solidify. So it's not just about how good it looks when it actually goes on your skin. It's can it actually come out of the palette in a way that works for you. So when I first bought this, it was I could just kind of dab my brush, boop, 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 boop. And now I have to kind of scrape at it and to get some off, and you don't want that. That's just a waste of money. And then blush, I've never really put much thought into. I happen to have this wonderful blush palette from when I was a drag queen. But I also have some crappy blushes, and they work fine. I wouldn't spend much money on a blush if you're gonna get a blush, but I would get a very light, very subtle salmon-y blush, not any unnatural color, certainly not red. Okay. What next? I sometimes do a little contour of my forehead. I'll do that. Not going to be something that you're going to care about, but I'm going to do that anyway because it's my makeup. And for a forehead contour, I'm just going to take that same color and I'm just going to do that. And this is, for me, I have a big ass forehead and I want it to look smaller. That's all it is. And then I'm going to go in. I think it's really funny that probably each time I do something, you're just you don't look different. And that's photo booth for you. And I'm going over the contour with the same blush that I put. Maybe that'll show up. Yeah, you can see the difference. Okay, again, you can do that if you want. I think it looks really nice, but I think, so, I'm just saying so much more than you need. I think it's really important to have consistency throughout the face. For me, I think it's really distracting if there's one part of if the whole face is really done up and one part of the face isn't. And sometimes, this is only sometimes with some people, if they have a bunch of contouring shit here, but there's nothing going on this big white open plane of a forehead, then that sort of bugs me. Probably that's only for people with giant foreheads like me. You have this beautiful, very nicely proportioned sort of heart-shaped roundish face. And I think that is just not something you would ever have to think about. Okay, highlight. I think this is such a wonderful little product. It looks like this. It's shiny. It's a sheeny thing. And I'm going to use the same brush. Between applications of different products, if I'm worried about getting one product on another one and then smearing them around my face, I just kind of take my brush and I just whack my wrist with it. I'm gonna use very sparing amount of this, boop, just like that, and I'm gonna go right as high on my cheekbone as I possibly can, right up to my eyeball. You want it to basically be like contour, blush, highlight. They should really, I mean, they're going to blend into each other, but you should be conscientiously applying them at very different levels of where your face is at. So right up to the eyeball, and I'm actually going to look up to stop myself from poking myself in the eye. And the highlight is only going to go on the part of your face that is sort of forward because of the cheekbone. So it's really just here. And then I'm going to do the other side. And you can sort of see how there's like just this additional kind of dimensionality to your face now. And then I'm going to go right at the bottom of the forehead and sort of blend that up just like slightly. And then I like to go on the tip of my nose and just do that. Using too much highlighter looks like a fucking nightmare. Just a warning. Not that I bet you're not going to go out and get yourself a highlighter, but if you do, use teeny tiny amounts. If you have to, any product can be layered on top of itself, right? Any product. Eyeshadow, if you didn't put enough on, blend that shit in, put a little bit more on, blend it in again. But going in with just like boo, 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 with a highlighter and then like spreading it on, there's no getting rid of that shit, and you're gonna look like a weird like neon dust cake person. Okay, what's next? I am gonna do just like a tiny little eyeshadow thing that is totally optional. I think that for a teacher, you know, it's really just gonna be about kind of skin and your face, and probably mascara and maybe eyebrows. But just because I like to sort of talk about the principles of eyeshadow, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I'm going to go over with the powder I used before. This is not the highlight, this is just the normal matte powder that I put to set my foundation, and I'm just going to kind of go like that across my eyelids, and that's going to kind of soak up the eyelid, the just like skin oil that has probably gathered on my eyelid since I last washed my face. Because if there's any oil on your eyelids when you put on your eyeshadow, then your eyeshadow will look muddy. And then I'm going to I've got this wonderful blending brush. I can't remember where I got it. I think I just got it at the drugstore, but it's really, really good. It looks like that. It's very dense. Denseness is good for an eyeshadow brush, ordinarily. Okay. And here's something really important. This might be true for you. This is a pattern among Northern European people. But I have very hooded eyes, which means that if I just kind of relax my face and look at you like this, then my eyebrow kind of drops down to cover up my crease. Whereas for a lot of people, their face, they have much more kind of, oh my god, what's going on? A lot of other people have like a much wider kind of plane of skin to work with, and their eyelid just kind of goes up and then just sort of becomes their brow bone. Now for me, I don't have that, and you might not either. I cannot remember right now. I can picture your face, but I cannot picture the specific features. And so in putting on eyeshadow, that's a very important thing to remember. I am going to use my eyeshadow to emphasize and kind of restructure my crease, and I'll show you what I mean as I do it. Again, I'm just going in with this middle shade right here. I'm probably going to use a darker shade in a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my face, and I can see where the line of my crease is. The crease is this line right here. I can see where the line is. And then I'm going to kind of tilt my head back until that line is gone, but I'm going to remember where that line was, and that is exactly where I'm going to first apply my eyeshadow. Like that. And all you're trying to do is just blend it so there's no harsh line. There's no like, this is where eyeshadow is, and now there's none. You want it to blend. And as I blend, I need some more. As I blend, I'm going to be blending it upwards. And in doing that, you create the illusion that your eye is larger than it really is. And I'll do one eye completely before I move on to the other one, so that you can get kind of the full effect of like what these things can really do for you. I'm going to take a darker shade now, and I'm just going to kind of emphasize, I don't know the words for all these pieces of anatomy. I blended it up, but I'm gonna put this darker shade down a little bit lower where I first started blending. But I'm still then gonna blend it up just a little. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Ordinarily, I'm not so much about this just kind of like light eyelid and then contoured crease look, but I think that it demonstrates the principles of how to apply eyeshadow much better than what I normally do, which is dark on the lid and then just blend it outwards. Because you really get a stronger sense of like the anatomy of the lid and what the kind of principles are that we're working with. Okay, liquid eyeliner is much better than eyeliner pencils. I think that eyeliner pencil is great for basically two things. One, if you have a very elaborate look and you need to put if you're doing like a very dark look and you need to get some eyeliner on the waterline on the lower lid of your eye, that's great. And eyeliner pencils are also great for doing like that like Fallout Boy smoky, smoked out, smudgy guy liner thing. But for putting, I'm gonna recommend, I think that everyone can look just like very nice with just like a little, just like a line from the inner corner of your upper lid to the outer corner. A lot of people really overthink liquid eyeliner. It doesn't have to be this big swoopy wing thing. I think that that all you need to do is really just do just a thin line across. You don't need to, but it can look very nice. It just makes your eye look bigger, and your eyelashes look thicker, and it emphasizes your eye, and blah 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 blah. Putting eyeliner on the lower lid by itself, if you just like have eyeliner all around your eye, it's going to make you look like your eyes are very small and beady. It makes you look mean and insecure. That's what I think. I think that's a teenager thing to do. Who the fuck am I to judge, though? So, yeah, take it slowly. Don't psych yourself out and don't overthink it. Don't try and do elaborate shapes, at least not until you can, you've just got your line. So I'm just gonna, excuse me, foundation. I'm just gonna start right at the inner. And it's a very simple line. I'm like psyching myself out because I'm kind of being watched as I do this. Excuse me. Okay, so that is not how I normally do my eyeliner. I would normally do something. I do then like wing it up. But the point that I want to make is that like liquid eyeliner is not only for being a pinup girl. It is not only for, I don't know, whatever. It's not only for like doing kooky makeup. It is a much better way of putting on eyeliner on the upper lid. And it's very easy. This isn't even liquid eyeliner really. It's a marker. It's literally just like a Sharpie. It is eyeliner. It is makeup, but it's not like a dip and do thing. It's a marker. It's really easy to work with, right out of a drugstore, and it's great. It like totally gets the job done. And liquid eyeliner is just like a great way of getting some automatic, just like really powerful definition around the eyes. And again, remember that I've been doing this eye, but not this eye. So you can see how much bigger and just like prettier and lifted this eye already is. And I haven't put on that much eyeshadow. I normally would put on more eyeshadow here, and I might do that just so that you really get the effect. But first, I'm going to curl my eyelashes. So many people skip this. I would, given the choice between just wearing mascara and just curling my eyelashes, I think I would just curl my eyelashes. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to curl my eyelashes. As far as I've never, ever, ever, ever had a method of curling my eyelashes work better or worse than others. I just kind of hold it there for like 10. I just squeeze and hold it there for like 5 or 10 seconds. A lot of people like insist that you do like you squeeze and let go, squeeze and let go, squeeze and let go. I've never found that to be particularly effective, just at all. Okay. And now I have a lovely and expensive mascara that I love. You don't need a lovely and expensive mascara. You can go to the drugstore and get any mascara, and no one is ever gonna judge you unless they're a complete prick, because they're just like, this mascara happens to be like delicate and wonderful and I love it, but that's because I'm a fucking perfectionist and I don't want to walk out feeling like, I don't know, whatever. But like, the point of mascara is just to make your eyelashes look thick and dark, and all mascara does that. I've never had a mascara that didn't just get the job done. And that's more or less the eye. And I only did one so that you can see the comparison, but you can see bigger, kind of friendlier looking almost. I mean, you know, it's weird because I'm a guy and like there's all kinds of assumptions made there. But like broadly speaking, you know, it just, here we have a face that is just kind of very held together and well defined, and here it's like, oh, dark beard, and then like the eye just kind of gets washed out. I am going to add a little bit more eyeshadow into my crease because I'm not quite satisfied with the definition that I got. Okay. You're probably not going to want to do any of that. Mascara, though, curling your eyelashes in mascara, if I'm not doing any makeup, if I'm just like, no, fuck it, but if I want to wear makeup and I have 2 minutes, I'm going to curl my eyelashes and put mascara on. Just minimal. And I think that's fine. Basically, of what I've done so far, for school, I would do foundation and powder. I would get myself some kind of taupey brown thing that I can use as just like a light foop foop contour. This is not, you don't have to, this is not Instagram. You don't have to like be like, ooh, like, my nose, ooh, do my eyebrows, ooh, like, but just a little foop foop kind of contour that just adds a little bit of color and emphasizes your beautiful cheekbones. And then just a little something salmony and just something to add a little bit of that natural flush to your face. And then curl your eyelashes and use mascara. You're pretty much good to go. The rest of it is, you know, if you want to look like extra defined, or if you're having fun and you just want to keep going, that's you know, really why I ended up learning how to do makeup. I just thought it was really fucking fun. I'm gonna keep going because I still have eyebrows. I guess I'll do my other eye too. Fuck it. It's bothering me that they're not matching right now. I'm just gonna do it really quickly. I did not do a good job on my eyeliner. I never do it like that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. Do you care about eyebrows? You probably don't. I'll do them. You might want to. I'll do my eyebrows, and I'll tell you what you probably are gonna give a shit about and what you're not. For my eyebrows, so my eyebrows are pretty shaved right now because I did a look for the Rihanna concert where I wanted to cover them, so I didn't shave them off, but I trimmed them very, very heavily. So they're in a really good position right now to be made up in the way that I'm about to make them up. I haven't been doing eyebrows for very long, so if I fuck up, I might fuck up, and that's the thing. I'm going to take this is just a dark foundation. It is meant for someone much darker than me. And I have this brush. It is a very thin, angular brush. And I'm using this brush to trace a line, basically a border around my eyebrows where I want them to be. You probably don't want to do this. Just letting you know. Fuck it. Actually, you know what? No, I'll do it. This is probably just like more dramatic than you want, and also almost certainly more effort. Um, and I will the part that you will care about is very easy. um, I'm gonna do the other side. And you'll notice that as I'm doing this, and I'm going to explain it even though I cannot imagine you ever doing this much work on your eyebrows for any reason, because you have more important things to do with your life, unlike me. Notice that I'm starting my line that I'm drawing about halfway across the eyebrow, right before the arch happens. And that's important because we're not actually outlining the entire thing. We're trying to have this effect where it's very, very defined towards the end and actually comes to like a point. But it's more natural looking and going to be much lighter at the inner corner. Yes. So then I've drawn kind of an outline. I'm going to fill it in with the same foundation. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with this wonderful palette that just like serves all of my purposes for me. And what shade am I going to use? Come on. Why aren't you opening? Okay. And I'm going to use this shade, the second darkest. And I'm going to go over what I just drew with that eyeshadow. And that's going to really darken it. It's going to make it a... I'm going to use a smaller brush. I don't like this brush. It's going to make it a natural shade as opposed to that kind of orangey shade. I only used that foundation just because it's something I had. If I had my druthers, I would be using a foundation in this same taupe color. But since I'm going over it with powder, and then I'm going to... Oh, and this is the part that you care about, by the way. Going in, you can just kind of go in with an eyeshadow and a small brush. Doesn't really matter what the brush is. And just start at the densest part of your eyebrow, wherever that is. Start at the densest, and without applying more product, kind of brush it out so that it fills your eyebrow. Do not use the eyeshadow to create like an outline and like fill it in. If you've ever seen a woman's a person's eyebrows where it looks like this like really like weird line, boxy, like big rectangle at the front and then sort of pointy at the back, that's because they use some kind of product to just kind of like make their eyebrow a drawn on thing, and that is not what you want. You, for your eyebrows, if this is something you're interested in doing, you want to just kind of emphasize the shape and consistency that's already there, possibly darkening it. That's all. Okay, and then the final thing, two things. Final two things. This is an eyebrow primer. I love it. It is intended to basically make my eyebrows receptive to the next product I'm going to put in them, but it also allows me to shape my eyebrows because it's sort of like a clear mascara for eyebrows. And I'm going to brush up the front end because I want that to look really natural and kind of bushy, ideally. And then I'm going to brush along the rest of it. Up, and then I'm going to ease that upward motion into a sideways motion to create just kind of the natural arch of the eyebrow. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And ordinarily I actually do my eyebrows before I do my eyes, so while this is drying, that's when I would go and like curl my eyelashes and stuff. And today, since I'm not doing that, the only thing that I would do ever that I haven't done yet is lips. I don't think that anyone needs to be taught how to put on lipstick. I certainly have nothing in particular to add. I don't really feel like wearing lipstick today, so I'm not going to. So I'm just gonna talk for a second while my eyebrows dry. Yeah, they're fine. And then this is eyebrow something gel, eyebrow gel, brow gel. And where I made my eyebrow dark, I'm going to darken it. And then I'm just going to use this to kind of blend the kind of not darkened part of my eyebrow into, I'm not touching my eyebrows right now, into the darker part. So I'm going to start here, and this is actually going to, rather than like painting the skin underneath my eyebrows, this is actually, this is kind of just mascara for eyebrows. And so it's actually like going on the hairs. And this is good because if you have darkened your eyebrows, it makes it look a lot more natural. I haven't done a wonderful job. Again, I've kind of been like psyching myself out a little bit because I don't often do my own makeup while being in any way observed. I've done other people's makeup, but it's almost never as like comprehensive as this. Yeah. So that is that. I hope this has been useful. It's certainly long. That's makeup. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.